name is Bryant Chitsey, and this is my commemorative speech. The Native Americans have undergone great hardships throughout the history of the United States. They were terrorized by European settlers and forced to move from their ancestral lands. This move granted a respite from the terror for some tribes. This was not the case for the Osage Indians. Once they were removed from their native lands and relocated to reservations in Oklahoma, they struck it rich by striking oil, but this only brought more heartache. This heartache was brought by the murders that became all too frequent for the Osage. But the true injustice is the fact that these murders have not been talked about at all in history. Author David Grann understood this and put it upon himself to unearth these mysteries. David Grann is a very successful nonfiction author as well as an award-winning writer at the New Yorker magazine. In his career writing novels, he has focused on true crime and mystery with his novels The Lost City of Z, The White Darkness, The Devil and Sherlock Holmes, and Killers of the Flower Moon. Killers of the Flower Moon is his novel that focuses on the Osage murders. Before writing Killers of the Flower Moon, Grann noticed the lack of discussion on the topic of the Osage murders in the 1920s. In an interview with Jeffrey Brown, Grann answers the question asking him how he came across the topic. He responds, "I too had never heard of it, and at one point a historian had mentioned it to me, and I made a trip out to the Osage Nation in Oklahoma." During his time in the Osage Nation, Grann went to a museum that displayed a photograph that showed members of the Osage, although a portion of the photograph was missing. He asked the museum director, a member of the Osage, about the photograph. She said, "The devil was standing right there." She claimed to have removed the panel because it contained a figure that was all too frightening. She then brought out the missing portion that showed one of the men behind the Osage killings. A National Archives article discussing the novel says that Grann said, "The book grew out of trying to understand who the figure was and the anguishing history he embodied. And it led me to one of the most mysterious and sinister crimes in American history." This was the start of a 5-year-long search for information. In the same interview with Jeffrey Brown, David Grann discusses his research. He says there were basically 2 avenues of research. These avenues were archival and tracking down the descendants of both the murderers and the victims. In his tracking of the descendants, Grann discovered that both descendants still lived close together, their fates intertwined, giving him a real sense of how this history still reverberates to this day. Grann has said that this is one of the worst racial injustices and criminal conspiracies in American history. He took it upon himself to unearth these mysteries and teach what has, unfortunately, not been taught in Oklahoma schools. He should be held in high regard for bringing this forgotten past back into our history. Thank you.